Hello, welcome to my series about all Chopin's music. I don't know what to say after playing this piece. Maybe I start from my personal feeling of deep sadness that this prelude is forgotten. At least I have such an impression that nobody plays it. I don't know, maybe because of all the 24 preludes that we have in Opus 28, this one is somehow forgotten. Maybe because it's not a typical Chopin. It's more impressionistic music. It doesn't really sound like Chopin's music. Maybe because there was no pianist, world famous pianist, who made it so famous that everybody wanted to play. I don't know. It's enough to say that I myself didn't really know this piece before this project. I've heard it maybe 2 times in my life and with no impression. Or maybe it's not played well enough to touch the deepest parts of people's hearts. I don't know, but this music, every single note, in my opinion, touches us so deeply, like almost no other Chopin's piece. Extremely difficult to play, because it's like an etude for the touch. We have dozens of different colors in this prelude. Prelude in C-sharp minor, opus 45. It's not a very late Chopin. He wrote it 8 years before he died, so in 1841. As an order, a publisher, Schlesinger, ordered this piece for his album, and Chopin accepted this and he wrote it. And in the letter to his friend Julius Fontana, he wrote such words. Yesterday, Thursday, I stopped here. I did the prelude in C-sharp minor for Schlesinger, short, just the way he wanted it. I shall give him for his album today's prelude, which, being well modulated, I can boldly send. Being well modulated, what does it mean? If you are a musician, you know. If you are not a musician, I will explain for you. Modulation is the musical term that we use to describe change of the key, of the tonality. About keys and tonalities I talked on my video about Prelude number 1 from Opus 28, and among all in my video about Nocturne in G major, from Opus 37. This, the number 1. No, number 2, sorry, number 2. This is very important for you to know what I'm talking about, so I'm not going to repeat here. So if you didn't watch the video about Nocturne in G major, opus 47, and the first prelude, please do so. So modulation is changing the key, which means changing the world of sound, changing the color in the painting. And here Chopin is changing all the time, but we don't hear that so much. I mean, we hear the change of color, but it doesn't disturb us. It's not strange like it is in Nocturne in G major, because there it sounds really strange sometimes for our ear. Here not, and that's why Chopin writes it's well modulated. It is well modulated. What more we can say? This prelude is like an improvisation. This is how I imagine Chopin improvising. This is how I'm improvising actually. Even before I knew the prelude, I can show for you now. Doesn't it sound similar? If let's imagine I want to improvise something and I want to experiment with a new with different chords putting together, and how will it sound? Just experimenting and improvising without thinking about the creating some music, but just what I feel. And I will do it in A minor. It is what I feel. Similar to this prelude? Yes. But was this Chopin? No. So, what I think, I mean, generally speaking, the whole analysis about this prelude we have here. The setting, lights, candles, romantic atmosphere. I'm in white and in black. Anyway, this is analysis. Of course, not only, but improvisation. Chopin wrote a piece as an order, so he didn't want to put a very deep story behind it. It's not a ballad, it's not a scherzo, not preludes like in Opus 28. It's just the impression. And here we touch a very important topic. This is impressionistic music. This is Chopin opens the door for the next period in music history. Genius, of course. I don't think it took him a lot of time to write this piece. He just wrote down his improvisation. But even this piece has some kind of construction. And the idea of construction I'm going to analyze now with you. But surprisingly, it's only me, maybe not only because I didn't read all the books about analysis of Chopin's music, but I read a few excerpts from the books describe this prelude, and all of them writes that this doesn't really have a form, doesn't really have a structure. It's just based on one motif. And this is true. It is based on two motifs, actually. And now I'm going to talk about it. Modulation, different tonalities means different colors. That's why it's an etude for different touch, because the pianist has to change the touch every time the tonality is changing. But okay, let's do the analysis now. Now I will play for you only the first note that Chopin wrote in this piece. The first note, the very first note. This was the first note that Chopin wrote in the piece. You didn't hear anything? Neither did I. Because the first note that Chopin wrote is the note of silence. The first beauty in this prelude. And if you remember how I started this video, I started sitting in the silence. This was on purpose. I wanted to emphasize that this prelude starts with the silence, and after the silence comes the first note. And in the beginning already we have improvisation, and we already have different colors. It seems like Chopin takes a little of blue and plum a little of blue, then a little of red and plum a little of red, then maybe some dark, maybe some brown, then yellow. Listen, one, another 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 one. And this is the introduction, and then the main theme starts. Well, theme is too big word, but the part A. Now, how it is constructed? It starts from the dark part of the keyboard, and it goes up like improvisation, like at the beginning of Polonaise Fantasy. In this prelude, we already hear that Chopin is going to write Polonaise Fantasy. It's the same. And then when he reached the top, we have... And then in the middle, it's like Debussy music. I feel as if I'm analyzing a Debussy music now. No message, no inner message, just impressions. Simple impressions. Just Chopin sitting and looking for beautiful chords and harmonies. Absolutely gorgeous. So, the first musical period consists of two different motifs. The first one is I showed you just now. No melody, just improvisation. The second will be the melody in the right hand. Just listen both of them. And this is different color already. What we've heard here was not a melody, it was just a modulation. Now listen. Different color. Now, different color, different color. And now the second motif. Listen. Different color. The first musical period ended and the second starts, and everything will be the same except in different tonalities, so different color, but still we have part A. Different color. Listen to this! Different color! And second motif. Sorry. Now, when we have piano pianissimo, so very, very silently, here starts part B, the middle part of this prelude. When we listen to this, it seems the same, but it's not. What is different? First of all, we have flats instead of sharps. This is for musicians. So we change the key completely. We are in the moon or in some other planet. Now, the part B will be in another planet. But what is also different a little is the motivic structure. This what we will hear in the right hand at the end of the motif, improvisation motif. And also there will be no melody in part B, only the improvisation like part. So let's listen to this part B, and it's extremely soft. Different colors. And different. And now the melody from part A. Now the bridge. Something will happen. Something will happen. We hear here. Something will happen. Listen to this again. We have the impression, our subconscious have the impression, something will happen. Listen again. And what will happen? Up. The beginning of the piece, A prime, part A. Now here is very important moment. The culmination, right? The climax, I mean, the climax. A little drama, musical drama. This moment. And we should have the release, because it's a tension. The release should be, and it will be, but before this chord we have a lot of notes. We have a cadenza, which means a cadence. Chopin asked to write a piacere. From Italian it means free, as you want. We can play as we want. This is written not like normal notes. Normal, I mean big notes, like everywhere we have this big notes, you know. Here this cadenza is written with very like small notes, you know, and it's very long, and it sounds like Debussy, chromatic and but extremely light, extremely soft, and this is in the background of, now this is like in the background. And I can play a piacere, I can play free, so I can do whatever I want. And then, we have, what do we have now? This theme is taken from the beginning. It's not exactly literally the same, but it's similar. And coda. Different note. And now Chopin gives us a little bit sunlight. This is the improvisation. One of the most beautiful pieces Chopin wrote. But of course, comparing to ballades, there is no story here. No dramatic story. For pianists, maybe it's not effective enough because it's slow, because they cannot show off the technique. Maybe they think it's easy. It's not easy, and I have to tell you, it's almost impossible to find a really good recording of it. I mean, full of colors, changing the touch, and respect to this, and love. And now, at the very end of this video, I want to tell you my impression. And it is very important. With this piece, Chopin discovered something that can stop the time. This music can stop the time. And when I want to stop the time, I always play this piece. I will not play it again now, because when I started this video, I was extremely inspired. And I think this interpretation of mine was quite good, as good as it could be on this piano and this acoustic that I have here in my room, but good when it comes to my feeling that I transmitted to you when I played. So instead of playing again, you can just listen to the beginning of this movie again as the conclusion of this analysis. Thanks for being with me, and now we are approaching the end of the whole project. Well, of course, there is still a lot, but I'm here already 1.5 years doing this analysis, and I enjoy it very much, and I enjoy that more and more of you are watching and commenting, and it's important for you, and it makes me so happy. So please share with anybody who might be interested. There are many people that they think that maybe analysis is boring because maybe it's difficult, maybe they are not musicians, so they will not understand. But they don't know that I'm not using musical terms. And if I do, then I always explain them in simple words. This is my goal of this whole project, as you know. So, thank you for tonight, and see you again. Now we will have 3 impromptus, then 2 rondos, variations, or variations before rondos. and then etudes. And after etudes, some extra. There will be Allegro de concert. This will be the last piece. Hexameron. 3 etudes from the Moscheles method, and then all the posthumous pieces, hopefully. Bye bye. Thank you.